Hi, welcome to Overthinking Entrepreneur. I'm Megan, and I've had a successful online business for a few years now, and I think I overthought probably about 90% of my decisions along the way. Honestly, I just overthought whether I should say 90% or pretty much every decision in this intro. So if you find that relatable, you are definitely in the right place. In this podcast, I will help you get out of overthinking and into action so that your online business can finally start growing. Hi. This week, we're going to talk about failure. So fun, right? Let's dive in. Who can't wait to talk about failure? But it's one of those things that I know holds so many of us back, and so many people in my audience that I've talked to who really struggle with this concept of failure and wanting to get things right and getting paralyzed trying to make decisions and overthinking and trying to do the right thing. And it often stems from this kind of fear of failure that we feel is driving us. And so I want to talk to you about two mindset shifts around failure and the fear of it that have really made a big difference for me. And I hope they can make a big difference for you too. Are they going to change everything for you overnight? Probably not. But I think they're the first steps down the path of kind of freeing yourself from this a little bit and stop letting this fear of failure slow you down so much. And I want to be clear. It's not that I don't fear failing. I mean, it's not that, I don't have any nerves around that or fear around that, but it's not something that really affects my decisions as much anymore. And it's not something that keeps me from taking action as much anymore as it did in the beginning. And that's what I really want to talk to you about. So I think the first one is really just looking at, how do you even define failure? What would failure be? What does it mean? I did this exercise a long time ago, and I've had to kind of come back to it multiple times and re-anchor myself into it because the fears do come up, and there's new fears. The more that, in the beginning, when my business was something fun that I hoped could grow, but was just that, something fun on the side, versus now it's my main source of income and has to pay my bills. It's, the fears are different. There's different things that come up at different stages of the journey. But when you really sit down, a lot of us, when I ask or when I talk to my clients or, anyone, or even ask yourself this, when you think what's holding me back, it's really easy to say, I'm afraid I'm going to fail. I'm afraid I'm going to mess up. I'm afraid I'm going to embarrass myself. I'm afraid I'm going to XYZ, right? And what I recommend that you do is sit down and ask yourself, what does that actually mean? Because a lot of times we have these vague things, right? I'm afraid of failure. Okay, well, what would failure be? Would it be if you made a mistake? Is that failing? Is that, and this is a little bit of a like a linguistics thing, I guess, where some of you might have different definitions of the word failure than I do, but for me, failing is like full on, like done, I failed, it's over, right? Like mistake is like a minor version, failure is like huge, right? And at least how I kind of viewed the terms. So, if I make a mistake, if I mess up, did I fail? No, I tried something. It's like we're kind of learning in the process, and as long as we keep going, we didn't fail. When I really sat down and asked myself, and this was a little bit dramatic, but if you struggle with this, try it. Picture yourself at the end of your life on your deathbed, right? So dramatic, but if you're looking back, what are you going to regret? Are you going to regret that time that you made a post and you said the wrong thing and someone laughed at you? Probably not. But would you regret never going after your dreams, never knowing what if, never really finding out if you could have made something happen? To me, that scared me a lot more. And that's what would keep me up. Now listen, I am an anxious person who ruminates. So I am that person that, like, when I make a mistake, I do ruminate on the mistake sometimes. I get that. And if you're saying, hey, like, that's great for you that you can mess up and never think about it again. That's not what I'm saying at all. Okay. To be clear, when I embarrass myself, when I make mistakes, when I make the wrong choice, I beat myself up way more than I would like to. This is an ongoing battle. It's something that I ask myself all the time. It's something I talk about with my therapist. It's like it's a struggle. I am very hard on myself. And I'm constantly like Captain Hindsighting myself of like, oh, I should have made this decision. I should have done that. And then this wouldn't have happened or this would have worked out better. So I still struggle with putting pressure on myself to make the right decisions and get it right. And then feeling frustrated with myself when I feel like when I feel like I did not have the information and could not have known that was going to happen, I don't beat myself up as much. But when I feel like I missed something or I looked at it wrong, I will. And that's not a good thing. I'm just trying to I'm just trying to be upfront with you that I am not saying like, oh, it's just so easy and like stop thinking about those things and they won't ever bother you again. But at the end of the day, if you really look back at your regrets in life, do you think that your regret would be going after something that you really wanted to do for yourself, or that you would more regret not going for it? And when I asked myself that question, I realized I would definitely regret more not going for it. I am the type of person who has been cautious through a lot of my life. I am the type of person who is slow to make decisions and I overthink and I want to get things right. And, like, that's just kind of who I am in my nature. And because of that, there's some things that I haven't gone after. And every time when I look back, I regret not doing it more than the fear of failing, the fear of making mistakes, that kind of stuff. So I think that's the first thing that I would look at is, first of all, how do you even define failure? And within your business, how do you define failure? Is a small mistake that can be fixed a failure? Probably not. So what does that mean for you? What would it mean to fail? For me, I think my definition would be if I gave up and I never really went for it. That would be how I could fail, is if I got in my own way, I didn't let myself go after what I really wanted, and then I gave up, and then I just lived a life and kind of always had those what ifs. To me, that's what I feel would be more of a failure. Now, have there been individual things in my business that I have tried that failed? Yes, hands down. But is my overall business or me, are they failures? Am I a failure? No, I don't think that. So I think, we kind of have to separate that out a little bit. There have been things that I tried that did not go well. And, I learned from it and I didn't do it again. Maybe that idea was kind of a failure, but it wasn't a failure for trying. That's how we learn and that's how we grow. And that brings me to the other thing that I really want to talk about today, which is a different perspective on how how to view this fear of failure. Because what I want you to really understand is that small failures, small mistakes are inevitable. Those things are going to happen. And the more that we try so hard to avoid them, the more we stifle our own growth and our own progress, all in the name of trying to avoid making some small mistakes. We keep ourselves stuck because we're so focused on what what could go wrong? How do I make the perfect decision? What do I need to do? And oftentimes we're trying to make decisions under uncertain conditions, right? Like we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. This is new to us. When you're starting a new business and trying new things, it's hard to make decisions. We kind of just have to do the best that we can and adjust as we go because a lot of times this is new to us and there's really not you can't make a perfect decision because you don't really know what's going to happen because you haven't done it yet. And that can be hard to come to terms with when you have a personality like mine that wants to overthink everything and control the details and make all those decisions and feel like you're in control of the situation, it can be hard. But what I have really come to find to be the most beneficial is building the trust in myself. Not pressure on myself to never make mistakes, although I do put that there. I don't want to be putting it there, but I am putting it there. But the belief that I can figure it out if I mess up, if I make a mistake, if something goes wrong, if something breaks, if, whatever happens, I have focused on building the trust and belief in myself that I will figure it out. The trust and belief in my future self. One of my mentors that I really enjoy learning from, she always says, that's future Lizzie's problem. But I have faith in future Lizzie because I've never let myself down. I will figure it out. I know that she will figure it out. So I don't get stuck in all the what if possibilities. I wait until if and when they actually happen, and then I figure it out. And I was like, oh, that's really what I've come to do, but I had never thought of it in those terms. And so that's what I really want you to focus on is stop fearing making mistakes, especially small ones. Stop perceiving these as a huge negative thing or evidence that you shouldn't be doing this. The people that are the most successful are probably the people that made the most mistakes. And I know we hear that and I know you want to roll your eyes. Like it feels like one of those like inspirational cliche posters on the classroom wall, right? But it really is true. The people that worry so much about making mistakes and getting it wrong are not taking action. And at the end of the day, action is what grows your business. And that's it. Thinking about stuff doesn't grow your business. Man, do I wish that it did. I would have so wildly successful business, right? But it just doesn't. It's only the action. And so the more that you focus on, well, is this right or is this wrong? What if I mess up? What if this is wrong? You won't do anything. And you'll keep yourself stuck in the what ifs. And then you'll look at the other people the people who are just trying it. And, I'm not saying just blindly do whatever and don't make decisions with intention. That is not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is that you have to make a decision that's reasonably good with the information that you have available, and then trust yourself that you're going to figure it out on the other side. And the way that you build that trust is by going through these situations, by making mistakes and then figuring it out and showing yourself time and time again. Yeah, sometimes that goes wrong, but I always figure it out. I always get it done. I always manage to find a good solution, right? As long as that's your attitude, then the mistakes don't feel as scary. It doesn't feel as paralyzing to think, oh my gosh, what if I mess up? What if I make a mistake? What if this happens? Because you can always say, well, you know what? I'm definitely going to make mistakes. Instead of like just eliminate that anxiety, right? The anxiety often comes from the what ifs and the unknown, the uncertainties. So I can tell you with certainty, you're going to make mistakes. So you can just let go of that anxiety right now of the what if I mess up. I'm just going to tell you right now, you're going to mess up if you're taking enough action, if you're actually putting yourself out there and doing the things it's going to take to create the growth and the results that you want, you're going to mess up. You just are. It's just, you're a human, right? We're not perfect. And so you're going to mess up. But what I want you to focus on is how you handle that mistake. That's where the growth comes in. And that's what really separates who succeeds and who doesn't. The people that are so afraid of failing that they let it keep them stuck and they don't move forward versus the people who say, you know what? I'm just going to go for it and see what happens. And I'm going to trust myself to figure it out. And you can do it. I bet you've been in some really tough situations in your personal life, in your work, if you have one, in your family, your friends, right? You've navigated a lot of tough things. You've made big mistakes and you've figured out how to come back from them. And you can do the same thing in your business. But in order to build the confidence in that area, you have to let yourself get the experience, right? The knowledge alone won't build the confidence. It's like, I don't know why this is always my go-to example. Maybe it's because like sports and athletic stuff is so foreign to me, but for some reason my go-to example is always like learning to shoot a basketball, learning to, I don't know, whatever, a three-point shot, right? That's the thing, right? I think it is. So let's say you're learning to do that. You can watch other people do it. You can have them explain. You can read all the books. You can, all the things that you want to do. Are you going to feel confident that you can sink the shot? Not if you haven't done it. It doesn't matter how much knowledge you have, you're not going to feel confident. You might feel a little more confident than if you had shown up without doing all of that preparation. And so that's good. I think the preparation is a good thing to do, but you're still not going to feel confident in your ability to do it until you start shooting the ball, until you start seeing it go through the hoop and building that belief in yourself and that muscle memory and saying, I know what I'm doing. I've done this before. That's what we really need to get to. And that's what a lot of people block themselves from getting to because they're so afraid of messing up that they're not taking actions. And then when they're not taking actions, they're not moving forward. Mistakes will move your business forward way better than action that you didn't take because you didn't want to mess up. The mistakes aren't the problem. The fear of the mistakes holds you back way more than the mistakes. Can there be huge mistakes that you can't come back from? I mean, there can, but I highly doubt that's what we're referring to here, right? Most of the time, it's just those silly little mistakes that we freak out and we put all this pressure on ourselves and we worry and we try and get it right and then we do nothing. And instead, I want you to spend a bit of time, try and make a reasonably good decision. If you don't have someone to help bounce things off of and make decisions, I would love to help you. My accountability coaching program is perfect for this, or my squad membership is also great for this. And in the squad, you get the community of other members that you can also bounce things off of. It's not just me. We have a group chat that's totally optional, but can be really good for that. We have group Zooms, we have voice message days, so you still get kind of the best of both the group support and the one-on-one with me. There's lots of ways that I can do this. There's lots of people out there, but find that support. If you don't have anyone to talk things out with or bounce ideas off of, I understand how it can be harder to just move forward on your own, but you have to stop staying in this place of being so afraid to make mistakes that you don't do anything. That will hurt your business so much more than the mistake will. Truly, I really hope if you take nothing else away from this episode, it's that the fear of making mistakes causing you to do nothing will cause way more harm to your business than a mistake would. And the beauty of making the mistakes is each time that you make them, you get better. You learn something new. You have grown in a new way. You've become more capable and more confident, and it will allow you to keep moving forward and keep going. And you can say, I've made a lot of mistakes in the past, but I always figure it out. And I know that I will do it again. And I know that I can keep going. So I hope that this has helped you with a shift a little bit. Really ask yourself, what am I afraid of? How do I actually define failure? What does that mean to me? And then really focus on what's going to actually slow my business down more? What's going to actually harm my business more? And what am I focusing on here? I'm focusing so much on the potential to make a mistake that I haven't even made yet. And I'm just sitting here stressing. And you guys, I'm saying this like laughing at myself. Okay. This is not me trying to make fun of you. This is me, right? I do this. We're sitting here paralyzed in fear of a mistake that hasn't even happened yet and might never happen, right? Like we really sometimes let these silly fears take the reins. And if we don't take a step back and look at it from a different perspective, sometimes you don't even realize it's happening. I've definitely had times where I didn't realize, I even talked about this a few episodes ago in my first episode back from my hiatus, where I kept trying to figure out, why am I not moving forward with my website move? And then when I finally clicked, like, oh, it's fear. Oh, and it's crazy how fear can really keep you stopped in your tracks. But once I realized that, and I was like, okay, that's silly because I'm going to figure it out. Like, I can make changes if it doesn't work. That's what it really comes down to, right? It's just building that faith and that trust in yourself to figure it out when the mistakes do happen, not if, when the mistakes happen, because they're going to happen. There's nothing wrong with you. You're a human being trying something you've never done before. You're going to make mistakes. But the important thing is that you don't let them derail you. It's that you say, okay, a mistake happened. That's okay. What do I do now? How do I fix it? How do I move forward? And that is what's going to help you become the person that you want to be and help you grow the business that you want to grow. The most successful people out there, they have mistakes and they have problems. They have big problems. The bigger your business gets, the bigger your problems, right? Yes, certain things go away, but new problems pop up and they cost a lot more money and they affect a lot more things. And right, like there's always different stages of the journey, but the most successful people, you will never find a wildly successful person who worked for it. Maybe if their success was like handed to them, then maybe, but someone who like really started from nothing and worked for what they have, you will never find someone who's very successful that says to you, nope, I never made mistakes. It was just smooth sailing. I'm just awesome and perfect and you're not. And that's why you can't do what I have, right? You will never ever hear someone say that. Instead, you will hear them say, come around, come learn from my lessons, come hear about all the mistakes and all the hardships and all the hard things that I went through and how they made me better and how they made me the person that I am today and how that is the reason that I have what I have now, right? Okay, I'm going to leave you there, but I hope that this has really helped shift your thinking a little bit. If this is something you struggle with, I would love to support you with this. I would also love to hear from you if this has given you any little aha moments or maybe changed the way that you're going to approach things. And I will talk to you again next week. I hope this episode inspires you to go take action on something you have been overthinking. As much as I wish you could, you cannot think your way to success, so promise me you're going to go take some action today. Head over to overthinkingentrepreneur.com to find all the cool stuff I've made for you over the years, like my free guide to getting more social media engagement and my Facebook group, Dynamite Entrepreneurs, which has a free course on social media basics.